idea of a circular economy is gaining ground. This session will delve into how businesses are reimagining waste as a resource and rebuilding industries with sustainable solutions. Please join me in welcoming our panel of experts. We welcome Mr. Yash Sharma, Mr. Dinesh Pareekh, Mr. Ayodhyaprasad Singhal, Mr. Amit Bhalodi. I would request Mr. Vinay Amekar, Sir, Gunjan Kabra and Arjun Bhattar to moderate the session. Mr. Yash Sharma, he is the director at Ganesha Ecosphere. He has led the development and successful launch of Go Revise, a premium brand specializing in recycled PET bottles. He holds an MBA from HEC Paris, where he honed his expertise in business strategy, data analysis, and forecasting, and a master's in finance from BITS Pilani, providing him with a solid foundation in financial modeling and strategic decision-making. Enterprises. His approach centers around uncovering promising opportunities, providing capital resources, and offering strategic support. Mr. Ayodhyaprasad Singhal, co-founder and managing director at JB Ccotex Limited, a company engaged in recycling waste PET bottles. Apart from JB Ccotex Limited, he is also the founder of 5 other companies working in the field of paper recycling, renewable energy investing startup. Mr. Amit Bhalodi, founder and CEO at High Green Carbon Limited, a company focused on sustainable and eco-friendly practices in the carbon and renewable energy space.
So just to set the context of the panel discussion, I think we can all agree when I say recycling is the need of the hour, right? India is one of the largest consumption economy in the world, right? Accordingly, we consume close to 25 million tons of plastic every year, which contributes to 20% of the total global waste in the whole world, right? Also, on the tire recycling part, there is no official data as such, but in the talks of the town, around 10 million tons of tire is being recycled every year. So as a result, particularly of plastic and tire and even e-waste recycling has gained a lot of significant momentum in the country. Also, with the added implementation effect of the EPR norms in the tire recycling already, and the expected implementation of the EPR norms in the recycling of plastic, we think the space has garnered a lot of interest from the investor sides also, right? So to shed some light on this topic and this discussion, we have tried to assemble the veteran panel of this industries amongst the panel, right? And veteran investors also with us to discuss the rapid advancement which is happening in the field. So yeah.
Recycling across the sector is happening at a very large scale. If you see in lead, if you see in tire, if you see in PET, paper, everywhere it's happening. And when we actually see on the private side as well, the number of deals which is happening on the recycle side, that people are coming up with fundraise because the sector has picked up so much. So we thought that it's a very, very good theme to play out. And so we have a panel which is into PET recycling and tire recycling. So Yash, the first question actually goes to you, that the Ganesha Ecosphere has been in the industry since last 30 years. So that point of time, when recycling as an opportunity was also not, that lucrative at that point of time, when, so many industries were flourishing, but how did you come across, how did the company come across this theme and thinking of starting a business opportunity as recycling industry in PET recycling as a project, and how things have changed over the years?
Sure. Thanks, Gunjan, for the question. So it's a very interesting story, to be honest. So the company was started by my grandfather, Mr. Sharma, back then in 1990s. And at that time, before that, he has had a career into textiles. So he was working with builders for a very long time, managing, at the time when he left and started the company, he was managing 4 of their very big textile plants. And one of his developments and breakthroughs over there also was utilizing as much as possible of textile waste. And that is when, where we actually had the idea that, there is a lot of value, a lot of potential in the waste that's generated across, the country, and it's essentially available to you. At that time, it was available at throwaway prices. It was actually zero value material, which could be, through some technology, through some processes designing, it could be transformed into a lot of value. And that's how Birlas were actually excelling in their plants compared to all the others, out there. Because he had started to utilize these waste materials in all the facilities that they were generating. Our first plant actually was a textile recycling plant, where we were collecting post-industrial textile waste from so many polyester plants across the country. At that time, there were many. There were around 20-25 polyester plants in the country. And we started recycling textiles, post-industrial textile waste, particularly polyester, converting it again into recycled polyester fibers, and then, sending it out for downstream applications. That's how it actually started. Come a time between 1995 to 2000 when there was a big crash in the polyester industry. The Asian economies crashed big time, and the polyester market, crashed big time. And 20 out of these 25 plants in India of polyesters got sick, and they got acquired by Reliance. 90% of them were shut down. Maybe 2 or 3 are still running, still run by them. That's how it progressed. And when this happened, obviously the availability of waste also got restricted. They stopped selling any waste out there in the market, and because they'd realized what was happening outside, what we were actually doing at that time. And for us, it was a big challenge, because then we were out of raw material. In the idea to find an alternate raw material, we discovered that PET bottle was essentially the same polymer. The consumption had started to grow. All these big brands, Coke, Pepsi, and had entered, luckily, in 1994, 95 in India at that time. Again, to start the beverage, their presence in the Indian market, and they started using PET bottles as a packaging alternate. And that's when we realized that, this was happening. It had already started happening in Korea at that time. They were the first ones to bring this, bottle recycling technology at that time, converting it into fibers and all. And then we switched over to PET bottles. At that time, there was no collection, nothing happening. So what we did was we opened our own collection centers across the country, partnered with the kabadiwalas, with rack pickers, taught them, educated them, made them understand how it could be done. We sort of designed, or you can say implemented, a solution of, baling, compressing the waste together so that it could be transported into our factories very economically. That's how the whole journey of recycling for us actually started at that point of time. You can say it was a virtue of my grandfather, who was actually able to get, and it was very motivating as well that he could, get it done at that scale.
दिनेश जी, आपने तो इंडस्ट्री बहुत ही अर्ली स्टेज पे आइडेंटिफाई किया, जैसे इन्होंने बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ आइडेंटिफाई किया, आपने रीसाइकलिंग एज एन इंडस्ट्री में काफ़ी नेसेंट स्टेज पे इन्वेस्ट किया. उसके बाद द जर्नी हैज़ बीन फिनोमिनल फॉर हिम बिकॉज वो खुद एक एंटरप्रेन्योर बन गए. ही फाउंडेड रेस इको विच इज़ अनदर listed company into sourcing of bottles and set this network. So how has the journey been with you? If you can highlight, how did you identify this industry? What you think that, why is it supposed to do so well in the coming future that you turned into an entrepreneur with this?
देखिए, जैसा यश ने बोला कि इंडस्ट्री इवॉल्व हुई रिसाइकलिंग से, लेकिन जब मैं 2005 में श्याम सुंदर जी से मिला, तब तक वो इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट थे. उसके बाद मैंने उनको कबाड़ी बना दिया. मैंने उनको बताया कि आप जो है रिसाइकलिंग करते हैं. अब जब उनको कबाड़ी बना दिया गया तो बात होती थी, भाई वेस्ट है इतना और जनरेट कौन कर रहे हैं, ये सब बेवरेज वाले करते हैं, कोका कोला, पेप्सी, इनसे बात कीजिए, ये कीजिए. तो उन्होंने अपने पिक्यूलियर स्टाइल में बोला कि अगर ऐसा ही कुछ है तो तुम करके दिखाओ. तो वहाँ से फिर घुसना पड़ गया. ये श्याम सुंदर जी का एकदम चैलेंज देना जो है उनका तरीका है अपना काम पूरा कराने के लिए. लेकिन फिर वहाँ से घुसते घुसते इतना अच्छा लगने लगा जब अच्छा इंटरेक्शन एज ए कबाड़ी आपका हो रहा था कोका कोला के साथ में, पेप्सी के साथ में, और फिर ज़रूरत समझने लगे तो इंडस्ट्री अपने आप धीरे धीरे समझ में आने लगी. एक्चुअली ऐसा नहीं है कि पिक किया गया इंडस्ट्री को, लेकिन गणेशा के इकोसिस्टम के साथ में धीरे धीरे इवॉल्व होना पड़ा और हो गए. एक्चुअल बात है.
अच्छा, हमारे साथ जो एक सूरत बेस्ड फर्म जेबी इकोटेक्स, सो अजोत जी, यहाँ पे जब इतने अर्ली स्टेजेस में अपन जब देख रहे थे कि यहाँ पे पोलिएस्टर एंड दूसरे फैब्रिक्स जब चल रहे थे, तो हाउ हैज़ बीन योर एक्सपीरियंस इन द इंडस्ट्री, एंड नाउ व्हेन द टेलविंड्स हैव कम, that post COVID, because of moving towards green energy that we have already discussed in the previous panel, and now decarbonization sustainability is coming through. So if you can give your highlight about what led you choose, and how do you think?
See, as a group, we Jai Bharat Group is having our DNA in the business. We always look for a business which contribute to society and also earn some good amount for the shareholders or for the promoters. So we were looking for an opportunity in 2014 for a new business. Then we came across that the recycling industry to produce recycled polyester staple fiber from the waste PET bottles, post-consumer water and cold drink bottles. That industry was at nascent stage at that time. And Surat is a hub for the polyester, so we know the textile industry in a right way. Then we visit some plants globally in China and some other countries and found that this is the right opportunity to enter into. Then we, in 2014, we decided to enter into recycling industry, and we started our first plant in Surat in 2015. Thereafter, we increased our capacity 3 times in the recycled polyester staple fiber. Till 2012, the technology involved in the recycling industry was not to that level which can replace the virgin fiber completely. But thereafter, the technology and the right set of promoters come into the industry, which brings the right technology with the right investment. So now the quality which we produce, recycled polyester fiber or many other players are also produce, which is almost equal to virgin fiber and which can be replaced, virgin fiber can be replaced easily. After COVID, some new things, positive things happened to the industry, particularly the plastic recycling industry. Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forest come up with the new notification for the EPR guidelines, the extended producer responsibility, which brings some responsibility on the plastic, virgin plastic manufacturer and the brand owners who use plastic in their packaging of their products. So a lot of attraction started coming towards the industry. And then FSSAI allows to use recycled products in the food grade packaging. Prior to that, 2022, it was not allowed to use food grade packaging. So now there is, from the waste PET bottles, there are 3 products which we can cater, or which we at JB Ccotex are catering. One is the textile industry to produce the recycled polyester staple fiber, recycled filament yarn. Second is bottle to bottle recycle rPET granules, which can be used again to produce PET bottles. And third is the polyester film industry. Because of the government mandate to use compulsory certain percentage of the recycled material in producing food grade packaging, now each brands, each manufacturer, each converter wants to use recycled product. 2 new things also favored for the industry. Global textile garment brands self-place themselves that they will sell certain percentage of their product, their garments, which will be manufactured by the recycled plastic. So when the global brands place themselves and they started looking for a good quality material which can be used in their garments, that also helps. And after that, many packaging brands also self-place themselves for the, so there is the good demand from the industry started coming. And then the 2 things which required for the industry is, one is the investment in the collection, efforts in the collection of the waste. Second is the innovation to produce the right quality which can replace the materials. So the whole journey goes like that. Presently, we are recycling 2 crores PET bottles per day and have plans to increase our capacity to 2 times in next 2 years. This is the journey of JB Ccotex.
Wow. So, like he said that, how garmenting and all also started using fabrics from using recycled yarn. So normally when we also thought in 2021 that this sector, textile as a sector and sustainability is going to pick up. So in all our management meets with textile, abhi, Lalpuria ji from IndoCount is also here. So we used to keep asking him also, okay, now is the sustainability theme picking up in the US or not? Are you getting premium for the sustainability or not? So this was actually, and then we got a view that, you know, actually like Gokuldas Exports or IndoCount were actually telling us that, you know, now from textiles, people are preferring, you know, sustainable recycled yarn and fabrics for consumption, and it has become an awareness now. So from now, the industry has transitioned to from textiles to bottle chips.
So actually extending forward that, the now from terms like kabadiwala and recyclers, we are now being more politely referred to with some fanciful terms such as upcyclers or cradle to grave manufacturers and all that. Amitji, my question to you is, given that we have focus on plastics, cloth and all that till now, tire recycling has been sort of under the radar, but it is equally a serious problem that the globe faces, specifically in developing countries as well. So can you just take us through why you came to this sector, and what are because the first thing that, you know, when we hear about tire, because it is black and it produces smoke and all that, so you know, what are the steps that you have taken to address pollution issues, how you have tackled government regulations around this, if you can throw light on that.
Yeah, our basically we started our journey before 30 years. We called ourselves as a Radhe Group, and we are pioneer in manufacturing of equipment called coal gasification, biomass gasification plant, water generation plant, and then CO generation plant, gas cleaning systems. So we are basically come out from engineering background. So biomass, most of the steel companies, rolling mills, ceramic industry, all are our customers. So we observe all the industry very closely. So what can be done after biomass, coal, then second subject come hydrocarbons. Hydrocarbon coal, it can be tire, it can be plastic, it can be electronic waste, it can be municipal solid waste. So we started observing all this sector, where is the opportunity or where we can explore. So before 13, 14 years, we concentrate ourselves in the tire industry, because tire was available in bulk. As per global criteria, almost one tire generated for every person every year. So there is almost billions of tire get discarded all over the world. There are a lot of land piles, stockpiles lying in the Arabian countries, in developed countries. Even people are paying for recycling of waste tire. Recyclers are getting a tipping fee in developed countries. All this was the scenario. And second point we come to notice that out of tire we can get a recovered carbon black, not from plastic or not from municipal solid waste. So these were the 2 points: abundant availability of raw material and possibility of replacing virgin carbon, because virgin carbon production all over the world is also crossing 13 million metric ton, and it is made from fossil fuel, and lot of CO2 is being generated for manufacturing virgin carbon. So we target to replace that RCB before 13 years, when there was no talking about RCB. Even in India, globally, very few players were doing R&D on this issue. So we started searching for technology. So China was cheaper. Batch type pyrolysis was operated in China, and now also in China they are employing a batch type pyrolysis. People, it was a low in investment, but there was a huge risk, and you know this pyrolysis industry is not so popular due to that batch type of technology, which was risky and polluting also. So we focused on continuous concept, which was available in Europe, in Canada, but cost being so high, investment of 200 crore rupees at that time was not in our criteria. They were feasible because they were getting a tipping fee or recycling fee in their country, but in Indian scenario, it was not feasible. We have to pay for collection of tire. So we concentrated on developing the technology by ourselves. So we develop a lab scale model, then we develop one field model. We started with 25 metric ton per day capacity plant, single reactor plant in Bhilwara, Rajasthan. That was our first plant. Then we gradually expanded it, and now our plant is having a capacity of 100 metric ton per day. And that's how we reach till now. Then before 4 years, we concentrated on RCB and upgraded that RCB, and now we are producing RCB, and we are having a product called fuel oil. And then recently, we further concentrated on efficiency, how to improve efficiency and how we can have a more economy on our plant. So we are using our syngas in a cogeneration of sodium silicate plant. And that is the journey till today for us.
Thank you, thank you.
So, Yash, my question is to you. So, EPR norms implementation is right around the corner, right? And as we understand, it's a massive opportunity, but the demand and supply gap is huge. So, just want you to throw some light on how big is this market of PET to PET bottle recycling, right? And how does India have the infrastructure right now to cater to such a huge demand of PET to PET recycling? And secondly, on the export opportunities, I mean, are the avenues open to you guys for the PET to PET recycle chips in the market?
Sure. So, as you rightly said, definitely there's a big opportunity and industry, getting developed in the bottle-to-bottle recycling space. India particularly has the PWM regulation that you're mentioning about, which is so, it is estimated that currently the consumption of virgin PET for bottle packaging, packaging is approximately 14 lakh tons per annum. 30% of that would ideally mean around 4 to 4.5 lakh tons of recyclate needed in the next year. That's the current estimates that we're talking about. Now, talking about the demand versus the actual supply. So, it might be so that for the next immediate year, the supply, we think approximately will lie between 2 to 3 lakh tons. But in the coming years, there is enough projects already in line, in place, developing, coming up all over the country, to meet these targets. Talking about the next 5 years, I think the right way to look at it is, talking about the next 5 years. And why that? Because the government has also given a lot of leeways to the industry, in the sense that like, for example, if the requirement of 30% is for the next year, the government has given 6 blocks of 6 months, which is 3 years of blocks for the next year's demand to be completed in the future. So it's not that, yes, you are penalized in a, if you're not completing your requirements of using recyclates, but then you have 3 years of timeline. If you fall short of consuming, you can actually make up for it in the next coming years and take back your, your deposits. So government has already come up with very interesting ideas to make sure that the demand supply friction that is going to be generated can be smoothened out over the next 5 years. In the next 5 years, we think that PET is a highly growing plastic, in terms of consumption. Currently, the beverage consumption in India is growing at 18-20% CAGR from the last 2 years. It's estimated to be, to remain at these levels for the next 3-4 years as well. And by 2029-30, approximately 2 million tons of PET is estimated to be consumed. And out of that, 40 to 50% recyclate. If you estimate 1 million tons of recyclate would be needed, which is a massive market opportunity for the domestic, players, so to speak. I think that the biggest challenge when it comes to infrastructure is the collection, and luckily, we, as as Indians, we have a massive collection infrastructure already in place. We boast of one of the highest collection percentages of, more than approximately 90% of PET bottles around in the, around the world today. I think that's the biggest roadblock when it comes to implementing recycling, targets, contents in any country whatsoever. So I think we're already blessed with that. We already have a massive ecosystem. It's just about now streamlining, bringing efficiencies, bringing transparency, and bringing evolution to that whole supply chain system to make it more rigid, to make it more sustainable, how it has been done for so many years. And I think now since that shift of rPET from secondary market to primary market is happening, I think the shift is going to happen very, very soon as well. Talking about the exports, similarly like India, these sort of regulations are coming in the US and the European markets as well. And this all comes down from the Global Plastics Treaty, which is a legally binding document imposed by the UN on all the UN members that, that the plastic pollution is a very, very big problem for our world now. And, there needs to be very, very definitive actions about reducing single-use plastics, about using recyclates, about collection, about recycling infrastructure, which is being made mandatory not just in India but across the world. So I think that the US and European markets are also going to be big consumers of the recyclates. Today, the challenge that they have is that their collection infrastructure is still very, very lagging. The capacity for them to collect, the cost of collection is so high, that they're still at a very lagging stage compared to India. And I think we'll have a big opportunity to be able to also cater to these markets in the coming future in terms of recyclates, definitely.
While you did cover collection as a very important aspect and possibly a roadblock that needs to be sorted, as generators of EPR and Sir Pareekh ji, as a facilitator in this entire ecosystem, are you seeing any steps that the government should take to be able to strengthen the measurement, the documentation, to ensure that the process is clean so that these credits can be actually usefully utilized by all the players?
गवर्नमेंट अपनी तरफ से सारे राइट स्टेप्स ले रहे हैं और धीरे धीरे सिस्टम इवॉल्व हो रहा है. सीपीसीबी ने अपना पोर्टल किया है. कुछ चीज़ें हैं जो कि धीरे धीरे इवॉल्व होंगे. आने वाले 2 साल में सिस्टम इवॉल्व हो रहा है. लेकिन कलेक्शन सिस्टम को ही अपने आप में देखिए, आज के दिन में इंडिया का, जैसे यश ने बोला, 90% प्लस जो है हम कलेक्ट कर पा रहे हैं. तो कलेक्शन सिस्टम हमारा रोबस्ट है. लेकिन जो आज के दिन में कलेक्शन सिस्टम है वो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड हैंड्स में है. और बेसिकली वो अनऑर्गेनाइज हैंड्स अपने बेसिकली जो स्टैट्यूटरी लाइबिलिटीज़ हैं उनको बाईपास करके ही वो प्रॉफिट में है. जबकि जब अब फूड बॉटल टू बॉटल या इस ग्रेड का जब हम बात करते हैं तो यहाँ पर जो है एमएनसीज़ की एंट्री हो रही है. और अगर एमएनसीज़ की एंट्री है तो इस चेन को ऑर्गेनाइज होना पड़ेगा. तो उसके लिए काम चल रहा है. और वही जो फर्स्ट पैनल डिस्कशन में ही था कि गवर्नमेंट के सपोर्ट से कोई इंडस्ट्री चली गई, ऐसा नहीं है. रेसेस हैं वो क्लचेस के सारे तो जीती नहीं जा सकती हैं. तो वही सब लोग जो इंडस्ट्री में हैं वही उसको इवॉल्व करेंगे. और इस इंडस्ट्री में अच्छा ये है कि जो कंज्यूमर साइड का सपोर्ट है कि आज रिसाइकलिंग प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए प्रीमियम मिलने लग गया. तो मिला है तो कॉस्टिंग्स भी निकलेंगे और ये इवॉल्व हो रहा है. इसमें जैसे यश ने बोला, जो पेट के यूसेज के लिए मैं इसमें ऐड करना चाहूँगा कि जब हम अभी आज के दिन में जो भी डाटा जो बात करते हैं वो हम बात करते हैं बेवरेज बॉटल्स के लिए. जबकि जो EPR है वो ऑल पैकेजिंग्स के ऊपर में है. जब से ऑनलाइन सब कुछ होने लगा है तो आप ये देखिए सब चीज़ प्लास्टिक पैकेजिंग में. प्लास्टिक में भी पेट अब सबसे ज़्यादा आगे आ रहा है. तो बेसिकली जो यूसेज ऑफ पेट इवन मतलब प्लास्टिक पैकेजिंग और उसमें भी पेट वो बहुत ज़्यादा होने वाला है. और जो रिसाइकिल की जो डिमांड है जो हम एंटिसिपेट कर रहे हैं उससे भी ज़्यादा है. एक्सपोर्ट वगैरह भूल जाइए, हमारा यहाँ का ही चीज़ों को पूरा करने में बहुत बड़ा जो है दम लगने वाला है.
Sir, just a follow-up question. Sir, sourcing में I read about Race Eco. So you guys are integrating tech in sourcing in such an unconventional business. You are integrating tech in terms of I read that you are integrating blockchain and you are introducing tokens. So can you just shed some light how exactly you are integrating tech in such an unconventional business?
टेक बेसिकली ट्रेसिबिलिटी के लिए यूज़ हो रहा है आज के दिन में. और आप हिट एंड ट्रायल मार रहे होते हैं क्योंकि इनोवेशन चाहिए. किस तरीके से कॉस्टिंग कम आ जाए, किस तरीके से कंट्रोल या लीकेजेस कम हो. तो उसके लिए आप टेक का सहारा ले रहे हैं जो कि अभी इवॉल्व हो रहा है. वो भी सिस्टम इवॉल्व हो रहा है. तो बेसिकली आज ट्रेसिबिलिटी को लेकर के कि से सेंटर के ऊपर में कोई आपको मान लीजिए से वेस्ट देने के लिए आया, स्क्रैप देने के लिए आया है, तो आप उसके फेस से आप रीड कर लेंगे कौन है. तो आपको पता लगता है क्योंकि ये चीज़ की ज़रूरत हमारे को, क्योंकि अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर है, जीएसटी की प्रॉब्लम है, सब कुछ है, उन सब के लिए भी हमारे को चाहिए. तो उसको इन्वॉल्व किया जा रहा है.
So AP sir, I have a question for you. Sir, you have been in the RPSF business from bottle to fiber business since a very long time. So, and right now, a lot of capacity has been introduced, all over India in this sector. So, I mean, how do you see this sector going forward, I mean, in the coming years?
See, first is the recycled polyester staple fiber. Presently, when we started in 2014, recycled fiber was having market share of 10 to 15%, and the virgin fiber was having market share of 80 to 85%. In last 10 years, the virgin fiber industry growth rate was almost standstill, and recycled fiber industry grows by CAGR of 10-11%. Presently, the total polyester fiber market share recycle is having approximately 50% and 50% market share of virgin. So the industry evolves basically with the innovation, with the right quality products, which can replace the virgin fiber easily and have all the quality characteristics of the virgin fiber. Similarly, now if we talk about rPET granules to produce PET bottles, the same industry will evolve in next 5 years. The demand opportunity is huge for the bottle grade granules and also for the polyester film. That is another market. So the technology innovation is required at all these stages. From collection to sorting at the recycling facilities, to sort all the mixed plastic and segregate the PET plastic, color segregation, polymer separation, so that food grade, non-food grade separation. So the innovation is required at all these stages. Recently, we at JB Ccotex developed a chemical recycling technology, which is, we have applied for patent for that technology. Globally, very few 10, 12 companies are having this chemical recycling technology. The products produced through the chemical recycling technology can be replaced completely 100% virgin products. So, if we talk about the recycling industry, innovation and technology development across the whole value chain is required, and right set of promoters, right set of industry companies are doing this. And demand opportunity is huge, as we all know that climate change is the biggest threat for the humanity and planet, and all the government of most of the countries worldwide, all the international forums, now everything is talking about the climate change and solid waste, plastic waste को कैसे कम किया जाए, plastic को कैसे control किया जाए. And plastic is right now used everywhere. It is being used in every part of our life. We cannot replace it. So the theme is recycle it so that plastic waste can be reduced. And in next 5 years, there is opportunity to grow more than 25% per annum for the industries.
Hydrocarbons is a very important part, and Amitji, you referred to that, which is actually causing all these lot of emissions that are happening. I believe your company has taken some steps in the new plant that you're going to set up in Dhule. In addition to recovered carbon black and tire pyrolysis oil, you have some other efforts towards energy. Could you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, basically in an Indian scenario or in a global scenario, 20% tire are recycled. 80% used as an alternative hydrocarbon for getting energy. They are burned in kiln and cement industry and thermal power plants, many way, or either ended in landfill. So in our company, first we employ continuous pyrolysis plant. It is a closed loop process. So there is a zero emission, zero waste. There is a zero liquid discharge, zero solid discharge, and only flue gas, that is also at ambient temperature. We recover all the energy from flue gas and we use in our process. And other than our competitors globally also, they are getting two major products. One is a carbon and one is a oil. But no one is focusing on syn gas. Carbon percentage from waste tire is almost 35%. Fuel oil is almost 40%, global thumb rule. And 20 to 25% is a syn gas. That is either they flame it, fire it in ambient temperature or ambient air, or either they just waste it. So we are focusing on the syn gas. Currently we are manufacturing one product out of that, but in our further expansion out of that syn gas, we are developing a power. We will be producing power from that syn gas through gas-based generator set. And in our third plant, we are planning to bottle that syn gas to purify it, improve the quality of gas, and then bottle it and supply to industry as a thermal fuel. So this is what we are focusing on.
And you said globally also there are not many players or no player doing this kind of a thing.
Yeah. Syn gas is not in a focus right now.
दिनेश जी, जब भी मैं आपसे रिसाइकलिंग इंडस्ट्री समझने का ट्राई करती हूँ, आप हमेशा बहुत एम्फेसाइज करते हो कि सोर्सिंग इस इंडस्ट्री में सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट है. जैसे हम लोग ने लेड में भी देखा कि सोर्सिंग एक नेटवर्क आपको बनाना, जैसे इन्होंने बोला हमारे पास बहुत अच्छे कलेक्शन सेंटर्स हैं. तो एनी वन ऑफ यू ऑल्सो कैन हाईलाइट दैट how sourcing in this industry can become a differentiator, because the whole industry is making a transition from RPSF to bottle chips, as Arjun highlighted, and we also discussed that EPR norms are going to come, 30% recycling bottle to bottle chip, फिर 40, फिर 60. तो how sourcing, because फिर अगर PET already 80% recycling हो रहा है, तो फिर shortage of raw material going forward in 2 to 3 years when this industry full norm comes into play. So how will the experienced players differentiate or maybe gain because of this? If you can highlight, if you can also highlight, and anyone that how this industry will evolve over the years.
भी आपने कहा 80%, 90%, जो भी फिगर्स हैं कलेक्शन के, वो कलेक्शन की फिगर्स केवल पेट बॉटल के लिए. एक तो मैं जबकि पेट का यूसेज पेट बॉटल से भी बहुत बड़ा है पैकेजिंग इंडस्ट्री के अंदर, तो वो कलेक्शन नहीं है. सोर्सिंग इसलिए भी इम्पॉर्टेंट है कि देखिए बाकी कोई भी इंडस्ट्री है, वहाँ पे ऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर से बड़ी कैपेसिटीज़ हैं, वहाँ से रॉ मटेरियल आता है, चाहे स्टील कॉयल है या टेक्सटाइल में और भी कुछ चीज़ें रिलायंस उनको जो है पॉलिएस्टर्स देता सब है, और रॉ मटेरियल की सप्लाई उनको यूनिफॉर्म है, उसकी क्वालिटी यूनिफॉर्म है और आगे प्रोडक्शन होना है. ये मिरर इमेज बिजनेस है. यहाँ पर बेचना इतना शायद मुश्किल नहीं है जितना कि रॉ मटेरियल की सोर्स करना, एक यूनिफॉर्म मटेरियल को लाना, और फिर जैसे एपी सर ने भी बोला कि उसके कलर सॉर्टिंग है, उसके पॉलीमर की सॉर्टिंग है, सारी चीज़ें, तो उनका कलेक्शन होके उसको राइट चीज़ को राइट जगह पे भेजना. अब आप ये देखिए, छोटा सा एक मैथमेटिक्स अगर मैं बताऊं कि अगर मेरे ट्रांसपोर्टेशन की कॉस्ट मेरे मटेरियल की 10% कॉस्ट है, और अगर मेरे जो मैंने वेस्ट कलेक्ट किया और मैंने रिसाइकलर तक पहुंचाया, उसमें 10% का यील्ड लॉस आ गया दूसरे पॉलीमर्स के कारण से, तो वो पॉलीमर ये लोग भी बेच देंगे वहाँ से, लेकिन बिना प्रोसेसिंग की जो ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट है अननेसेसरी 10% से ज़्यादा बढ़ गई. तो जब ये कलेक्शन नेटवर्क रोबस्ट बनेगा, ऑर्गेनाइज होगा, तो बेसिकली कॉस्ट एफिशिएंसीज भी आएंगी और यील्ड भी और भी तरीके से बेटर होगी. दूसरा, कलेक्शन नेटवर्क, जब मैं बार बार इस पे आपको एम्फेसाइज करता हूँ कि कलेक्शन नेटवर्क को ऑर्गेनाइज होना पड़ेगा, जबकि अनऑर्गेनाइज भी अच्छा काम कर रहा है, भाई कलेक्शन के नाम पे अच्छा काम कर रहा है, लेकिन ऑर्गेनाइज बनना पड़ेगा. अभी तक जो आरपीएसएफ में यूज़ था, जो भी इनके बायर्स हैं वो सब टेक्सटाइल प्लेयर्स थे, उनको 100 रुपये किलो की चीज़ अगर 90 रुपीज़ में या 85 रुपीज़ में एज ए रिसाइकिल मिल रही है, देवर हैप्पी. तो कोई पूछता नहीं था कि ये रिसाइकिल्ड है कि क्या है, कैसे है. अब जो इनके बायर्स हैं वो सब ब्रांड ओनर्स हैं. बॉटल टू बॉटल के केस में, बॉटल टू बॉटल के केस में वो आज जो है रिसाइकलर को प्रीमियम पे कर रहे हैं. जो वर्जिन 90 या 95 रुपीज़ की है, वो इनका 110 रुपये में बिक रहा है. तो उसको उसकी ट्रेसेबिलिटी चाहिए कि यस ये रिसाइकिल्ड है, तो वो ऑर्गेनाइज होना पड़ेगा. इसके अलावा भी अब जो एमएनसीज, जो ब्रांड ओनर्स काम कर रहे हैं, वो सब बेसिकली ईएसजी कंप्लायंट हैं. जबकि हम सब जानते हैं कि जो नीचे टोटल जो कलेक्शन का जो बेसिकली नेटवर्क है वो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड है, वो कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट जो है एम्प्लाई नहीं करता है। तो जहाँ पे मान लीजिए कोई मिनिमम वेजेस नहीं है, जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशंस हैं, ये सब है, तो ये मजबूरी है आने वाले टाइम में ब्रांड ओनर्स की या रिसाइकलर्स की कि ऑर्गेनाइज कलेक्शन सिस्टम को बढ़ाया जाए और वहाँ से काम किया जाए।
See, regarding availability of the raw material in coming years, 3 points to be considered. First, growth rate of the consumption. Approximately 10-11% CAGR is there for the beverages industry which consume PET. So beverages industry is growing by 19-20% and the consumption of the PET resin is increasing by 10-11%. So this will create availability of the raw material, at the same time also demand for the final product. Secondly, as PET recycle industry is the only industry in India which has organized, which has grown, which have the right quality products. So now brand owners want recycle HDP, recycle LDP, recycle PP to package their products. But right recycle HDP, PP, LDP products are not available. So brand owners are now shifting their packaging to PET. I will give some examples. Recently, Dabur, the real juice, they are packing it in Tetra Pak. And Tetra Pak is not a recyclable product. Dabur is installing a new plant near Indore where they will launch their real juice into PET packaging. Body soap of Lux, recently in last 1 year, they shifted from another resin to PET resin packaging. Dabur hand soap, hand wash, that is launched in PET packaging. That will also fuel the demand of the rPET resin and which will also increase the availability of the raw material. Third, like Dinesh said, that PET bottle is not the only raw material for the recycled fiber industry. There are, we can have a textile waste as a raw material. Surat is biggest polyester industrial sector. We already using approximately 25% textile waste in our fiber production without affecting any quality. So the textile waste and other PET polyester film which is used for the packaging of different type of products can be used as a raw material. And last thing, it is allowed to import PET flex with some restrictions for the recyclers. We have to take license from Ministry of Environment and Forest and have to take license from the DGFT. So we can import the PET flex also. Being in Surat, near to port, it is also an advantageous position, particularly for our company. Recently, we are importing the industrial waste and also PET flex for our fiber application, approximately 10% of our overall requirement, which will also can be increased. So what I look that there will not be any shortage for the raw material. Yes, if industry, if a new company or new promoter comes into the industry and which do not have expertise of the collection and the segregation of the raw material, sorting of the raw material, that company will have to face many challenges. But like Ganesha, JB or some other companies who are having expertise in this segment in collection and sorting, so they will have a edge over our peers. So I do not feel any threat from the raw material availability point of view, considering all these points.
So a lot of time, whenever we discuss this, that firstly, right now, the B2B chips market is becoming very big. So you have this competition from other players coming in the market because, the RPSF players will be making a transition, so that, of course, because of the higher margins. So, you need to compete with the newer players. Plus, there is always a cost involved. Like if the norm comes in, there would be a higher cost eventually to the consumers also, because they will have to the owners will be using recycled plastic. So how do you juggle between what can be the challenge for the industry to adopt this as a trend? That the cost of virgin might be a little lower than recycling, or sometimes the cost of recycling is lower than this. So how do you, what challenges do you see in incorporating this trend going forward?
Yes, so you see, you are absolutely right, that there is a challenge that the industry is facing today regarding the, the increased cost of using recycled materials. And, obviously, when that is going to happen, ultimately the costs are going to be passed down to the consumer as well. But there is one very, very important, thing that we all need, as an industry, need to understand, is that recycled material and virgin material need to be looked at a very different value chain point of view now. It was okay to compare the two as alternate materials available, for a packaging company or the industry as alternates today. But in the future, it's not going to be so. Recycled PET is going to be used because of the regulatory point of view, because of, again, the bigger picture, Global Plastics Treaty, environmental footprint, all those criteria. That is why the rPET or the recycled plastics are being made mandatory in the first place. The virgin PET, the value chain is completely dependent on crude oil. You have crude oil, you have crude oil derivatives, paraxylene, PTA, MEG, etc., and then you have the polymer cost, and finally the virgin PET cost. In case of rPET, the value chain actually has absolutely no link to crude oil or virgin materials. The value chain actually starts from the collection cost. You have the collection cost. That is completely a factor of infrastructure cost and the last mile collection cost. For every country, it's different, differently organized and differently set up. After that, you have the sorting, the cleaning and the processing cost to make the final raw materials from recyclates. So ultimately, the two value chains are going to be completely segregated. We have already seen that your global market indexes, or global polymer indexes like ICIS, like VM, S&P, all of them have now segregated virgin and rPET polymers, and the reason is that the value chain is entirely different. So the society in general has to, mature, has to understand that the two value chains are completely different, and after a point of time, there is no point in comparing PET, virgin PET versus a recycled PET. The recycled PET has completely different characteristics, completely different reasoning, or the fundamental of why it is being used as a packaging alternative compared to virgin PET. So that's, obviously it will take some time. It will, the industry is getting mature. It will take a couple of years for the industry to understand, to digest, to get down to the fundamentals of this. But I think in the coming years we'll see this shift happening.
I would like to add some other points also to the Yash discussion. When we go to the global brands showroom, garment brand showroom, maybe Zara, H&M, Marks and Spencer, they are selling their garments. If we see the tag on that garment is made from that much number of bottles. And the recycled garment they are selling at a 100 rupee or 200 rupee a piece more than the virgin garment. So ultimately, consumer is also ready to pay the higher price for the recycled product, because consumer, the awareness among the general public and consumer is increased, that if we want to reduce the plastic pollution, and consumer is also stakeholder in that creating the pollution. Not only the industry is creating the pollution. When consumer is consuming that product, consumer is also a stakeholder in the and contributing that pollution. So now consumer is also ready to pay a higher price if it is a recycled product. So if the recycled product, which is costlier than the virgin product, then the the incremental cost will go to the consumer. But when industry will grow, right now in the B2B industry is at a nascent stage. The industry will grow, it will scale up, the production capacity will scale up. then to some extent the cost may be bridge between virgin and recycle. But ultimately the recycled product will be at a higher price than virgin, and consumer is ready to pay for that product.
Yeah, generally the observation also has been this, that now small players have also started coming up. Okay, this is a sustainable fabric made apparel, and people are preferring, and at leisure also people do prefer. So this is an observation that has been there. Anything that you would want to highlight on how the competitiveness in this space on your carbon black, or if you want to highlight anything on that?
Yeah, in our business, collection is a little bit easy because tires are made in a bulk. Each tire containing a weight of 20 kg to 50 kg. So all the roadside, all the puncture wala is our collection center. So from there you can lift material in a bulk. So collection is easy, but challenge is only is that 80% tire are going for burning in a cement plant or in a bricks making industry. So government did a good thing by introducing this EPR. So registration of all the recycler, collector and transporter is mandatory. So all this tire will come to organized industry, and it will benefit us to have a tire, our raw material at our doorstep, even at a better price.
And compared to plastic, probably because each tire has its own manufacturer's name, it's easier from a traceability perspective also, perhaps.
Just one last question. It's a critical question among investors I've talked to. So look, pet market is sort of evolved, right? But what about the non-pet side? I mean, who all are working on that side? Because I have not seen many players in this industry, focusing on the non-pet side. So what are your views? When will the non-pet side will get evolved in the coming years? Because that is the main market, right?
So, see, yes, you're absolutely right. But, I think there are a lot of challenges when it comes to the other plastics, your polyolefins, your engineering plastics. The biggest, the biggest 2 or 3 challenges there, I would say, is that number one, the way the current plastic industry of India is structured, there is absolutely zero regulatory control or zero, designing of how those plastics are manufactured and managed. The amount of additives, the amount of chemicals which are, being used to create these materials, it's unprecedented, and there's absolutely zero regulation controlling who is adding what and how it is being designed and being put out on the market in the shelves. And that's the reason what is happening is that when these plastics come back and get collected, they are all mixed plastics, so many mixed colors, so many different additives, so many different chemicals mixed into the, all the packaging designs that are out there, fancy products out there in the market. When they get recycled, these additives, these, chemicals, they degrade the recycled quality really, really badly. And that is what is actually, the problem today in the Indian ecosystem, that these plastics are very hard to manage, very hard to recycle. A couple of companies doing it in India, there are a couple of companies doing it in India, majorly on the secondary market side, some very small players, collecting some localized waste, uniform waste, and creating small granules. Why it's not being scaled is because collecting uniform waste in polyolefins is extremely, extremely difficult, because there is not actually uniform material available out there. Every HDP, every PP packaging out there is different, has different chemical, has different color. And when they mix together, they create a very bad quality of recyclate. What's happening is that today, all the recyclates in this space, the brand owners are not able to utilize more than 20, 25, 30% in their packaging, whereas PET today, even in food grade, we are doing 100% rPET. Whereas over there, it's not happening. And, so a big regulatory change needs to come, in these other plastic packaging design guidelines in the polyolefin and engineering plastic space to make that. Already there are countries in Europe, in Asia who have done that, where the governments have now decided that this is how a packaging for a shampoo is going to look like, and this is how a packaging for a hair oil is going to look like, and you cannot add any random whatsoever chemical you want into that plastic. That is what is really needed for the Indian ecosystem, and because of that, we are still facing challenges to scale and bring that recycling of other plastics to a level. There are many companies working on that, at the same time in India. Some people are betting on chemical recycling, in this space, because of these issues. So either you resolve the regulatory, the design side issues, or you solve the technological issues. Currently, both of them are existing in the Indian ecosystem.
I would like to add one more thing. PET industry evolved in last 10-20 years basically because the demand for the final product was there from the polyester staple fiber industry. But when we talk about the other polymer that may be polyolefin or LDP, etc. So the brands were reluctant. The brands we may talk HUL, Racket Benjer or any other brands. Brands were reluctant to use the recycled products in packaging of their brands because till 22 FSSAI has prohibited use of recyclates in food grade packaging. So brands always look for the virgin material. They were not ready to take the recycled material for packaging of their brands. So the market was not readily available for that products. So whatever the collection happens from the other plastic that goes into downcycling for the some other products, we may say that flower pots, household buckets, ये सब या industrial products बनने में चला जाता था. But after 2022, because of the government mandate, government regulation to use 30% of their rigid plastic requirement compulsorily from the recycled material, which will be effective from FY 25-26. So now brands are looking for the other plastic products available also. So the industry in India is not evolved because the demand was not there. And if anyone comes before the time, the industry will not be self-sustained and we cannot survive. But now the right time has already here, and companies like Ganesha, JB, or maybe some other companies are also looking for this as an opportunity. And in next 2-3 years, definitely the opportunity is there for other plastic recycling also, and companies might be looking for this opportunity and enter into this sector also.
So sometimes being early can feel like being a little bit wrong. Yeah. So we'll move on to the Q&A.
We'll begin the question and answer round. Kindly raise your hands. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Arjun. I have a question for recycling. So we talked a lot about PET recycling, but we did not speak much about laying roads with plastic. India is leading the path, and UP government has actually taken a good initiative of making roads from plastic. So can this be a new requirement in the future?
So yes, definitely you are right. So there are a lot of innovative solutions, currently being worked out. Roads is one of them. Similarly, there are many more, current alternatives being found out. There are alternatives of creating furnitures out of, recycled plastics. Many companies like, you can look at IPCA, they are working very beautifully to design very, very, good outdoor furniture products. Similarly, a lot of these, interesting innovations are coming out. So I would say that they are still in very nascent stages. They're still being studied, still being implemented. But yes, many opportunities and many different innovative products the country is working on already to address these plastics.
See, when we talk about the recycling, so the using the plastic into manufacturing roads or using the plastic in burning in the boilers of cement kilns, that should not be termed as the recycling. That is the right term is the end of life. So if a product which cannot be recycled, the end of life can be used in these segments, burning in the cement kilns or in the using in the roads. Yes, the plastic which cannot be recycled, that is an opportunity for constructing into the roads, using that plastic into the roads. And most of the roads now are made using 10% or 5%, certain percentage of mixed plastic which cannot be recycled.
एपी सर का जो कहना है उसको अगर सिंपलर वर्ड में बोलूं कि दफनाने में और ऑपरेशन करने में फ़र्क है। रिसाइकलिंग का मतलब ऑपरेशन हुआ और एंड ऑफ क्या उसको दफना दिया।
Very well said. Thank you very much for that. There's one more thing that I wanted to ask, sorry about this, but when we visit Western countries and we look at companies like Walmart, they already have a setup wherein people can bring their waste pates and can throw into it, get some brownies out of that. We do not have any such mechanism in DMarts or in any such setups. Are you thinking about anything like this?
So yes, you're absolutely right. So I'll tell you so what happens is that these take back programs, they really work when the brand owners, they decide that they are willing to take back the products that they are that the consumers bring back to them. Secondly, the value of the product is quite high or quite good. India we have a culture of optimizing cost, optimizing price, and we have tried to make products so cheap. The actual problem of plastics is actually the plastics are so cheap, the flexible plastics, they're so cheap that the collection and bringing back is actually a big cost in itself. So in the developed worlds, what has happened is that many governments have imposed return regulations, return requirements that that when the consumer brings back, there is supposed to be a deposit return fee, that the brand has to charge first and then return back to the consumer when brought back. These sort of incentivized schemes, if brought to the Indian ecosystem, I think can definitely be a game changer. They can be very important for articles or items which are not collected or recycled today. For example, PET, there's a beautiful collection system already existing in India. There is absolutely no need. But for many articles like your flexible packaging, your multi-layer packaging, like your textile products, clothes, etc., which is still in very nascent stages, I think these deposit return schemes can work out very beautifully there, provided the government and the brand owners, they work together on building these schemes together. But definitely it does increase the collection and recycling levels.
To add this to this point, this already in Uttarakhand, चारधाम यात्रा में पेट कलेक्शन के लिए 10 रुपए पर बॉटल एक जगह पे जहाँ से आप बॉटल खरीदते हो वहाँ आपसे ज़्यादा लिया जाता है, और आप कहीं पे भी आगे जाके कोई भी शॉप पे आप वो वापस बॉटल दे दोगे, you can get your 10 rupee deposit back. And this model is working good in Uttarakhand चारधाम यात्रा. So that वहाँ पे पहाड़ी एरिया में कलेक्शन अच्छे से नहीं हो सकता है, तो एक ये इंसेंटिव दिया गया है कि आप इस तरह से कलेक्शन वहाँ पे करिए. सेकंड, जो आप बोल रहे हो वॉलमार्ट या स्टोर्स में कलेक्शन क्यों नहीं किया जा सकता, फॉर दैट ऑल द स्टेक होल्डर्स हैव टू कम टुगेदर. फर्स्ट, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज चेंज ऑफ कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर इन इंडिया. मैं सूरत म्यूनसिपैलिटी की अगर अपने बात करें तो गीला कचरा सूखा कचरा अलग करने की बात करते हैं. हमारे यहाँ पे जितने लोग बैठे हैं उनके घर में कितने डस्टबिन है, सूखा कचरा गीला कचरा आप अलग डालते हो, एक ही कचरे में डालते हो. म्यूनसिपैलिटी पिछले 10 सालों से लोगों को एजुकेट कर रही है. अब मान लो घर में अलग कर भी दिया तो जो हमारे अपार्टमेंट से या फ्लैट से जो वेस्ट कलेक्ट कर रही है वो एक ही बिन लेके आती है वापस, और वहां से वो एक सिंगल बिन में दोनों कचरा मिक्स हो जाता है. फिर वो कचरा म्यूनसिपैलिटी की साइट में गीला कचरा में उसी में से कुछ गीले में डाल दिया जाता है, उसी में कुछ सूखे में से डाल दिया जाता है. तो बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें जो कंज्यूमर बिहेवियर से रिलेटेड है, जहां इट विल टेक सम टाइम. We are our association, we are representing to many forums in government that बच्चों के करिकुलम में स्कूल में कुछ नो योर प्लास्टिक एंड हाउ टू हैंडल योर प्लास्टिक एक करिकुलम में ऐड किया जाए, जिससे ये अवेयरनेस आए कि प्लास्टिक को कंज्यूम करने के बाद आपको डिस्पोज कैसे करना है. तो नॉट ओनली इंडस्ट्री अगर स्टार्ट कर लेगी बट कंज्यूमर अपना बिहेवियर चेंज नहीं करेगा. इट विल डेफिनेटली हैपन इन इंडिया बट इट विल टेक सम मोर टाइम.
Thank you so much, sir. Considering the schedule, we'll take the next questions later. I request Mr. Vivek Mashrani and Mr. Paresh Maru to come forward and honor the guests with mementos.